Hello, Reliance Baptist. I just got back from the associational meeting, the annual associational meeting, and wanted to give you a quick recap, kind of let you know a couple things going on. It's really, if you're not familiar, there's a little bit of business that takes place, but largely these associational meetings are sharing ideas on vision, sharing kind of a unity of thought in the area on how we want to move forward, how we want to see God moving in our area through our association, through the churches here locally. And the way it typically works, we do a little bit of worship together. We also had some breakout sessions, small groups discussing specific issues, and then we have one big central theme. So, first of all, with the breakout sessions, I attended two, and those two were largely over outward focus, how to be an outward focused church, and developing your leaders. As far as the outward focus concept, I was kind of using some of the thoughts from this meeting, but also a little bit from borrowing some from a previous meeting with some similar thoughts that were being shared. Evangelism, right? Outward focus, meaning if the church is made up of believers, then outward focus would be how the church focuses on non believers. And in short, first of all, in order to reach non believers, you have to be where non believers are or bring non believers in. Either way, you have to be rubbing shoulders with non believers. And there's a couple ways to do this. One is relational. I've really been pushing this, so I want to see this happening more. Individuals with individual relationships. But there's also the other thing is, well, how do we build those relationships? And two, how do we find groups of people that are a little bit outside of our immediate circles? And largely, you're either knocking on doors and invading their personal space, which is perfectly fine. Go do that. And we do that a bit, and we're going to be doing that. But then also finding the public space. Now, there's an interesting thing with Reliance, and that is there is no public space in Reliance, Texas, except at Reliance Baptist Church. We are the only public space. And right now, at this instant, that the non-church public space on our property really is only our baseball field. We also have the community center, which is not largely being utilized. But we were sharing ideas, what other churches are doing, how they're thinking about this. And Living Hope was sharing a lot of their success in this. And part of the associational concept, right, is where various churches are strong. They share that. And so as part of being outward focused is, well, we don't have a lot of public spaces available that we can go to. We can create the public space. And there's a lot of practical ideas on how to do that. But the long story short is we have land. People can stand around on land. They just have to have a reason to stand around on land. They have to have something that attracts them, some reason that would bring them together. Once we bring them together, then we can take the next step of inviting them, getting to know them, developing relationships with them, and otherwise bring them into the church. So that's the outward focus. And I think there's a lot of opportunity we have. First of all, to use the baseball field that is already drawing people in, but we're not really using it to draw them into the church. And then next, the community center and the swings we have over there. We have several really nice spaces that could become community attractions. I think there's opportunity there for Reliance Baptist Church. The next discussion, developing your leaders. This is largely pastoral leadership. The focus was there. There's a lot of different leadership within the church, and a lot of things we need to develop. But this was mostly focused on pastoral leadership, developing pastors. And there's a couple big things that meant a lot to me out of this. One was the association is working on a transitional pastor training model. In other words, having local men trained up to take over the pastorate in churches for temporary, short term, like the interim pastors are one thing, but I'm talking about even shorter. between two pastors or during the process of interviews, etc., and so forth. And since I have the possibility of being deployed, this is important to me. I want to make sure that I'm doing everything within my power to make sure that Reliance is able and ready to smoothly navigate deployments. I hope to be here for a very long time. And my service with the military likely will also be a very long time. We're talking 20 to 30 years. And in 20 to 30 years, it's almost inconceivable that I won't be deployed at some point. And when that day comes, I want things to be smooth. So we're thinking through, how can Reliance Baptist Church take somebody, first of all, develop trust, and second of all, develop a quickly enactable short-term chance, not only to fill the pulpit. We can fill the pulpit, that's easy, but somebody who can actually pastor in my absence short-term. There are men, Brother Rayner comes to mind, right? Individuals that we have a relationship with. But thinking through that's important to me. And we talked about some of those concepts, and I'll probably be looking to move forward with some of those to develop the plan, because I'm a big advocate of contingency planning. But then also thinking through this a little bit more, what does it mean to grow up a pastor locally? I'm a product of the contemporary seminary model. I don't think there's anything wrong with the current model, as in sinful or anything like that, but I don't know that it's the best model either. I'm more of a fan, and I think I'm seeing a big swing in this direction of local pastors growing up local pastors, of pastors not being brought in as just a job, right? It looks a lot like corporate America right now, the way the United States works. We go through resumes and we bring in somebody you have no relationship with, and then in the course of 2 or 3 interviews and one sermon, you decide whether you're compatible or not for what might be a 20-30 year relationship. And I just described my experience coming into Reliance. It works, it can work, God can bless it, but that doesn't mean that there are not other opportunities, other ways of doing things. And I think one of the better ways to approach this is more, instead of this corporate model, is sort of a internship, sort of a apprenticeship. That's a better word. An apprenticeship, a local apprenticeship where a young man called to ministry is raised up by a sitting pastor. And it doesn't have to be an individual church. We're a smaller church. We don't have all the resources. Look, I know basics about Greek and some about Hebrew, but I can't really teach it very effectively. I'm not that good with it. I guarantee you there's somebody in our association that does, right? I know some about homiletics, right? I preach every Sunday, but I'm not really studied on it. We have people, including just down the road, who have doctorates in this kind of thing. You can, at a local level, you can really do a lot of training for young men coming into the pastorate and share those resources without having to send somebody off for 3 to 4 years of their life in a foreign place, learning at a seminary from strange people that they do not know. So anyway, I think there's all kinds of opportunities, and I'm really excited about some of those ideas that are being shared, and the pipelines, and the ability to work as an association, not just as an individual church. All right, so the main, that was the 2 breakaway sessions. The main thing that we were learning was about the partnership of churches. It was about how we should be partnering. And the main point, and the first point that he made was it's biblical. It is biblical, and I agree with him. There is one universal church. And then under that, there is the local manifestation of God's church, and it is God's church, not ours. We are members of God's church, even in the local sense. So as we are all belong to Christ and we're all working together, he outlined 6 ways that we can be partnering together with other local churches. And just running through those really quickly. Prayer, praying for each other. Simple but pivotal. How often do we do this? Event-driven, doing something with the other church. 3, coaching. 4, resourcing, giving them stuff, monies, physical helps. 5, fostering. Think more specific and agreed, a full-fledged bringing them under your wing, right? More than just resources, more than just coaching. There's an on-paper relationship. And 6, a full replant. The church that was ceases to exist. A new church comes out of it where the old church was, and that is done through partnership. I think where we are as a church, Reliance, number 1 and number 2, we have a lot of opportunities for prayer and event-driven stuff. For prayer, I'm going to be very specific here. I want us to pray for Emmanuel Baptist Church and North Sulch Baptist Church. All right. Emmanuel Baptist is bigger than us. North Sulch is smaller than us, and we're right in the middle. And be praying. We share with both of these churches, we share a little bit of turf, as it were, and we should be helping each other. We're reaching out to some of the same people, and we should be cooperating to that end. It's not a competition, right? We serve the same King. And I would hope that our end goal is not somehow to win some kind of numbers game, but to see people genuinely come to Christ. And I've said this before, even if it means the end of Reliance Baptist Church. If right now I could trade the existence of Reliance Baptist Church for the salvation of every person within 1 mile radius of this church, I would do it in a heartbeat. There's no reason to be playing games over this. We should be cooperating and praying for each other to be successful. And event-driven. Look, Emmanuel has resources we don't, and they're doing things we can't, but we can join them. If they're already evangelizing, we can join in their evangelism. If they're already doing mission trips, we don't have to recreate the wheel. We can join them in what they are doing. In the same way, we are larger than North Sulch. They don't need to reinvent the wheel. They can join us in the things that we are doing. We can invite them in and be a warm, inviting place for them to join us. There's a couple places I see Fifth Sunday singings. Invite everybody, including churches. If they don't have an evening service and they're anywhere within driving distance of us, invite them to participate with us. Let's sing. Let's meet them. Who are they? Let's learn their names. Let's show love to our brothers and sisters from other churches, especially the smaller churches that are out here in the country. Invite them to our Fifth Sunday singings. I talked about the open spaces, right? We've got a field out here. All we have to do is have an event. Well, Emmanuel Baptist Church, I'm going to invite them openly. Let's start having some events. Let's put it on the calendar for next year. We've got land. Y'all do too, but we've got a baseball field and all kinds of fun stuff. Hey, come help us. Bring your people. We'll bring our people. Bring music. We'll bring music. Bring food. We'll bring food. We'll put on a big thing and have the whole community come out. And a block party, and invite everybody over, and they can get to know both of our churches, and they can get to know our Lord, and we can start reaching the community, and the list goes on. But those first 2 things, prayer and event-driven, is easy, low-hanging fruit ways we can participate with these local churches close by. And later on, there may be opportunities. I'm thinking, okay, long term, and I'll stop with this thought. There should be a terminal size for our church. I'm hoping God blesses us. I'm hoping that we grow enormously. But I do not want us to be an especially large church. Mainly because we get to 300 people, it becomes unwieldy, right? So I'm thinking we need to begin even now, while we're about the average size of a church, just under the average size Southern Baptist church. Even now, if God chose tomorrow to just absolutely overflow our banks, what is our heart and our end goal? How are we going to handle that? And it shouldn't be just to keep growing our storehouses. We should have a plan. At a certain size, we start kicking people out. We start sending them out to other churches. This really is the idea that Emmanuel had when they helped to revitalize Southern Oaks into Redeemer, right? And I'd like to see this exact same heart here. Hey, if we truly explode, our goal should be then to spill over into other churches, to help grow other churches, to help maybe some of the churches that we develop a relationship with now before we reach that point. And so start looking for, let's just start opening ourselves to the idea, what if God blesses us? How would we handle that? And I think this is a good attitude to have, even now, before any of that's anywhere necessarily on the radar. So I'd encourage each of us, if you're watching this, start to think that way. So anyway, that's what happened at the annual gathering we had just now. I appreciate you all and the opportunity in letting me go and participate in this fellowship of churches, and continuing to be a church that cares about the other churches of the area. I'll see you all tomorrow. Goodbye.